Welcome to Women's Sports Weekly, where women's sports happen every day, but we talk about it once a week. I'm Carolyn.
And I'm Danielle. Women's Sports Weekly is a podcast where we discuss the latest news, explore interesting stories, and share our love for women's sports. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at WomensSportsWeeklyPod. Follow us and rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Send us an email at WomensSportsWeeklyPod@gmail.com, and we may feature your email on our Listeners Experience Zone, The Les.
Danielle, you had a race this past weekend. Tell us about it.
I don't know if I even want to talk about it.
Why?
I ran a 5K. It's part of my marathon training plan. And I don't know, I hate short distance races. I guess we learned last week this is a medium distance race, or maybe they'd call it long distance. I don't know what a 5K is, but I ran a 5K. I haven't run a 5K like seriously trying in a very long time. I think back to when we were living in New Jersey, PA, and we would run the one my college would throw. Remember when I was coaching?
The blue and gray 5K.
Yeah. So this is the first time I've run a 5K in a while. And like I said, it's part of my training plan just to gauge where my fitness is at. And I was hoping for a sub 8-minute mile, and I got 8 on the dot.
Which is really impressive.
It was fine. It was a small little race, like very small, not a lot of people. It was a 5K, 10K, half, and the 5K alone, only 40 people ran it. But you know what? There was free ice cream at the end.
I know. I'm really upset that I missed this, but you are burying the lead a little bit because you did place first in your age group.
Of 3.
I don't care. And you did come in 4th overall.
Yeah, out of 40. But
4 out of 40 that's top 10%, right? That's like the exact
again,
math.
It was a tiny race. Let's not get too excited.
I'm proud of you. I did not go to this race because I had big plans with my bed, and it was called sleeping. And your race was very early, and you said I didn't need to come, and I took advantage of that.
Yeah, I woke up at 4:40, and it was Saturday, and I was very tired.
No.
And I was like, I'm not going to do that to you. If it were a half or marathon, I like when you come to those. But 5Ks, 10Ks, it would be nice to have someone to chat with because I like hanging out after, but I was totally fine going alone. But it was down at Chatfield Reservoir, and we haven't been down there in a few years.
Yeah.
And it is pretty down there. I got to see the sunrise. I, of course, was the first person at the registration booth because I get so anxious. I want to make sure I'm there, get my warm up in. But I saw the sunrise. It was beautiful. And it got hot fast. But yeah, there was free ice cream at the finish. And that's how I tried to convince you to run it. And they had this ice cream truck serving homemade hard serve. I was torn between, I saw this peanut butter jelly flavor, but then I'm a cookies and cream snob. And once I saw that, I was like, oh, that's what I'm getting. And it was delicious. So 8 a.m., I was eating ice cream. But before that, I had a very eventful cool down to my race.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
So I finished the race. I give myself a few minutes. I was like, okay, I'm going to just jog for like a little bit to cool down. And there's a bunch of paths over there. So I'm like going away from where the race is at this point. And I look to my right and I see a man in a parking lot laying down on the ground next to his bike. And I see him moving his arm. I'm like, is he stretching? That would be a weird thing to do with the bike on the ground and him on the ground. And then I see that he's putting his hand up because he sees me to try to wave me over. I guess I've seen too many true crime because, of course, my first thought is this man is trying to kidnap me. So I panicked. And I was like, okay, he looks hurt. Let me just go over. If it looks sketch, I'll flee. So as I get closer, I was like, oh no, this man is very old and he's hurt. So I get closer. I was like, hello, what's your name? What happened? His elbow was bleeding and was a balloon. I don't know how to explain it. I've never seen something so swollen. And he kept saying, my ribs, I can't breathe.
Oh.
And he was 83 years old, fell off his bike. And I was like, do you want me to call 911? And he said, yes. So I called 911. They came within 5 minutes. I felt bad leaving him, but they were like, do you know this man? And I was like, no. And they were like, okay, we don't need you here anymore. And of course, there was a ton of people there, so I didn't want to get in the way. So yeah, I had an eventful morning Saturday morning.
So on top of crushing your race, you're also a hero.
I wouldn't go that far. I was just happy I saw him and didn't flee because I thought I was going to get kidnapped.
Your stranger danger is very high.
It is, which I put it aside. I said, Danielle, he looks like he's actually hurt. Go check it out. You don't need to get too close if it looks sketchy. But yeah, 83 years old and in a lot of pain. I felt horrible and I hope he's okay.
Yeah. I think Ted Bundy, the serial killer, used to do that.
Exactly.
He used to pretend his arm was broken and then throw you in the trunk.
No, really. That's literally what I thought. I know people have done that before. And I was like, I'm always, especially when I'm running alone in places, like there was no one else around in that area. The race was back at that point. So yeah, when you're a woman and you just have to be on high alert. I know my stranger danger is high, but also I'm not trying to get kidnapped and killed.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have been in the trunk of the car so fast.
Yeah, you make me nervous. But I was literally like sizing him up. I'm like, okay, if this guy were to try to do anything, he's old. I could take him. And then I was like, okay, he's hurt.
I really hope he's okay.
I know. Poor John. That was his name. And yeah, I just feel really bad. But yeah, it was an eventful Saturday morning and then came home. We watched some tennis, which we'll get into. Yeah. And we watched some World Cup soccer, which we won't talk about because it's the men, but we were watching, had some pizza. So it was a good weekend. Yeah. How are you feeling?
Ooh, loaded question. I will say that we could talk about men's soccer because I have a lot of gay theories.
Okay.
But maybe, I don't know if we have time for that.
Yeah. You'll go down a rabbit hole.
I will. But I do have a lot of gay theories about men's soccer and it's just been so fun to watch. So yeah. I've been enjoying it. Oh, yeah.
The internet has also had some theories that I've been seeing swirling around. So you're not alone in that.
Yeah. And they know what to feed me. They know the type of conspiracy theories I like. But my mental health has been a little rough the past couple months and I'm taking care of myself and I have the support that I need and my relationships with friends and family are great, which I'm really thankful for. But thank God for therapy and thank God for partners like you who continue to listen and provide support, but I'm going through it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things going on and maybe one day we'll talk more in detail about what those are. But yeah, I don't really know how to wrap this up besides saying I'm just thankful for the people in my life and life really sucks sometimes. And I'm trying to learn how to manage through that and allow myself to be sad and just feel it more and be kinder to myself because what happens when I get sad is I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. A lot of people are going through worse things. You got to get over it. You got to keep going. And it's like, well, what I'm learning is that the way to keep going is to actually feel it.
Yeah.
And that can be really, really difficult to do. And I don't want to add shame on top of the intense feelings that I have, but that is my default, like shame on top. And so I'm really, really working to try to not have that shame be on top and meet myself with some compassion and care that I would give to any other person, but have a very hard time giving to myself.
Yeah. And I've seen the work you've been doing and proud of you for doing it. I know it's not easy and these things ebb and flow and I know you'll get through it, but it's just a rough time right now and that's okay.
Yep. Yeah. And it's just like, how long is the ebb going to be? Right. And that's a scary thing when you're like, how long is this going to last? And what are the things that I need to do to take care of myself so the ebb doesn't last longer than it needs to? And also, this is also a part of life. And how do I be in it and be present to it? Because I want to feel everything in my life. I really believe that. And so to do that, that means you got to feel shitty sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have the things in place to take care of yourself. And I guess this is a PSA of like, if you're feeling low, to ask for help. And I've been working with you a lot more of, I think we talked about it last week, of lessening that time to tell you that something's wrong.
Yep.
Not having to have the perfect response to you and be like, here is exactly how I'm feeling. How does that feel for you? Just being like, Danielle, I don't feel well in this moment. I don't exactly know why. And trying to be more honest about that and reduce that amount of time to have things come out perfectly has been really important.
Yeah, for sure. Even if it means telling me you need water during the middle of a run.
Yeah. Like we mentioned last week. But appreciate it. And I think it's important. I know that people listening, like we all just go through shit. And I think it's important to talk about when things aren't great.
Yeah, no. And I appreciate you sharing. And I'm sure someone out there will as well. You know what my response is to you?
What?
You could always run with me.
Oh, I don't know if running helps me. I think it puts me more in my head than out of my head. But I do have other things that I like to do, like working out and things like that, and spending time within community that I think is really, really important and helpful for me. So I do have some of those tools that I use. But there's also things like this podcast and work and things like that where you just have to do them. And I'm not at a point where I'm like, I can't do that stuff. And I think it's really important to do the normal stuff to try to get back into the rhythm.
Yep, for sure.
Little fake it till you make it and a lot of feeling. That's kind of what I'm going through right now. All right, so let's get into the rest of our podcast.
Yeah, let's do it. We want to highlight, before we get into the highlight reel, our internship that we are actively hiring for.
Yes, this is our fall internship for a social media marketing intern from September through December. And we are looking for a recent grad or a current undergrad student who wants to work with us. The hours are flexible, meaning that we want you to work 20 hours per week, but you can do it at any time, Monday through Sunday. And the location is remote. It is an unpaid internship. And we are really looking for someone who has a strong understanding of social media, TikTok and Instagram specifically. We want to work with you. We want your creativity, and we hope that you will apply. Our application is located in the Linktree bio on our Instagram, and it's also in the show notes of this podcast. And we're asking for applications by July 31st. If you have any questions before you apply, you can always reach out to us at our email, WomensSportsWeeklyPod@gmail.com, or you can send us a DM at WomensSportsWeeklyPod on Instagram, and we'll get back to you. But we really look forward to working with the new student. We love having Chloe, our student intern now, and we want to continue this moving forward.
Yeah, so please, if you know someone who might be interested or you know someone who's great at social media, please send it to them because it might be the experience they're looking for, and we are open to hearing from them, and we really look forward to meeting new people for this role.
For sure. All right, let's get into the highlight reel for this week. Let's start with the Women's Professional Baseball League. Last week, they announced their nicknames and logos of their 4 inaugural teams ahead of their first season. So the teams are the San Francisco Firebells, the Los Angeles Queens, the New York Heights, and the Boston Hunters. All of these teams are actually named after women pioneers, which I thought was a really cool way to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And starting with New York, the New York Heights were inspired by Dorothy Irene Height, a pioneering civil rights and women's rights leader from New York. Their logo includes graphic lines surrounding a baseball, mimicking the speed of a fastball and resembling the New York sky.
The San Francisco Firebells were inspired by Lily Hitchcock Colt, known as Firebell. That was her nickname. She was a champion of San Francisco's volunteer firefighters, and their logo fuses a bell with a phoenix, which looks really cool.
Love it. And then you have the Los Angeles Queens, who were created after Lizzie Murphy as a baseball pioneer known as the Queen of the Diamond. The logo is a capital Q topped with 4 baseball diamonds.
And then finally, the Boston Hunters are inspired by Harriet K. Hunt, a pioneering Boston physician and women's rights activist. Their logo is an osprey clasping a baseball bat in its talons. Again, another one that I really, really liked. I like an osprey. Well, one, I love birds.
Yes.
Going off on a tangent. I ride my bike to work every day and ride along this path, and there's a river along the path, and I get to see the coolest birds on that path, and we have egret and herons. Oh, now I'm like, do we have egret? We definitely have herons, but we have all these different types of birds. A blackbird with a orange beak. It might be like a cormorant. I don't think I'm saying that, but I love to see the birds, and sometimes you ride with me to work, and then I'll point out all of the birds that I like to see along the way.
And then I've seen some on my own running on the path, and I've sent you pictures of them.
Yes, I love them. I love them so much. But back to the WPBL, Women's Professional Baseball League. Their season begins on August 1st. And as a reminder, this first season is going to be played in Springfield, Illinois. And the games will be played at Robin Roberts Stadium, which is awesome. And then it'll run through mid-September and will include regular season and playoffs. So they're starting off small. We talked about the WPBL in an earlier episode about their structure and how they're moving. I'm a little bit nervous for them because their financial structure is still a little bit murky to me. Their players are not getting paid a lot, but I'm hopeful that this will be a great first season for them and they can continue to grow.
Yes. Cannot wait to watch them.
Yeah. And I love that they're putting some effort and intention behind their marketing, because I do think marketing goes an incredibly long way. And to announce these teams, have really great logos, great meaning behind them is a good start. All right. I just want to highlight the Women's Elite Rugby League. The players did a really cool thing, and we've talked to Emma Santosuaso from the Boston Banshees about this a little bit, but unfortunately, there is a trans ban against trans players in rugby that trickled down into women's elite rugby, into the professional sport. And the players have been really pushing back in such a beautiful and meaningful way. Every time they step onto the field, they're holding signs, let them play. They're wearing trans colors. It's been really, really incredible to watch. So this past weekend, they actually asked for a fan boycott. The players asked for a fan boycott for all of the games played this past weekend. They said, we don't want you to come to the game. We don't want you to stream the game. No support for their own league that they're in, that they get paid from, because in protest of the ban on trans women in the league. And I just want to applaud them because they're taking these really big steps on a league that is still coming up and laying their foundation. And it could be really scary to do that. And they're doing it anyway. And I think that's really, really incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So if you want to learn more about what they're doing, you can visit letthemplayproject.org to learn more about the ban and what the players are doing to stand in solidarity with their trans teammates.
All right. With that, let's transition to the Toronto Tempo versus Dallas Wings game played this past Friday night. What a game it was. We were watching and oh my gosh, the back and forth of this game was so much fun. Paige Beckers was on fire. Marina Mabry was on fire. Yep. It was just so fun watching these two battle it out. Dallas ended up winning this game 108-95, but before they started to pull away, it was a lot of back and forth where both teams were tied for quite a long time.
They were tied. They were going shot for shot. It looked like one-on-one pickup basketball. It was really, really fun.
Yeah, and as a reminder, so Toronto Tempo has Marina Mabry, who went to Notre Dame. Dallas Wings has Arike Gumbawale, Jess Shepard, who went to Notre Dame, but Marina and Arike historically have been really good friends, and you could tell the way they were interacting on the court. But even them going bucket for bucket sometimes was kind of funny to watch. But this game was played in Montreal, and it was the first WNBA game played in Montreal ever, which I think is awesome. It's kind of like how the PWHL does the takeover tour, so they played somewhere else. And this broke the regular season record crowd of 20,996 fans at the Bell Center. So this was a regular season record that was broken. It was previously set on September 19th, 2024, when Washington played Indiana, and that number was 20,711. So broke it by over 200. We love to see that, especially in a new arena.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible that Montreal showed up that way. If Montreal gets a WNBA team before Denver, we are moving. Okay. We're going to Canada. We're going anywhere.
Maybe we'll love Toronto when we go in the fall. We can move there.
But we need to learn how to say Toronto. Yeah, I'll be very, very upset. But Montreal shows out. To have a regular season game with that amount of people is really, really incredible. The Bell Center, where they played in Montreal, also hosted the largest crowd in the PWHL, in the Professional Women's Hockey League, when it had 21,105 people for a game between Montreal and Toronto on April 20th, 2024. So Montreal is a sports town.
Wow. Give them some team.
But not before Denver gets it.
Yeah, so back to this game. Paige Beckers, who I said was on fire, scored 34 points. The move she was making during this game, like behind the back, through two people, the amount of mid-range shots she was just making in people's faces was unbelievable. She was 13 of 22 from the field and had 6 assists and 6 rebounds. So fun watching her play. And then Jessica Shepard, also for the Wings, former Notre Dame grad, had 20 points and 17 rebounds. There's a reason she made All-Star this year. That obviously significantly helped the Wings sweep a 4-game road trip.
Yeah, which is great to go on the road and win that many games. That's incredible. Arike Gumbawale also had 20 points, and AZ Fudd added 13 for Dallas. They're a really fun team to watch when they're on.
Yeah. Absolutely. And a lot of different players are scoring, and that's what helps a team win for sure.
And I think at the beginning of the season, everyone was like, what's going on with Dallas? And they're starting to find their stride. And you don't need to have your stride in the beginning of the season. You need it in the middle and the end. You mostly just need it in the end.
Yeah. And then you have Marina Mabry for Toronto Tempo, who had 34 points. She hit 6 of 9 3-pointers. Unbelievable.
And then we have my favorite name to say from Toronto, Lauda Yushkaita. I love it.
Say that 5 times fast.
Lauda Yushkaita, Lauda Yushkaita, Lauda Yushkaita. I just love saying her name. I love when the announcers say it. She added 25 points. She looked awesome, but this was the Tempo's 4th straight loss. It's interesting to me because I feel like they're always kind of putting up a good fight, but 4th loss in a row is rough.
Yeah, that is. But was a fun game. Both teams have overall just been entertaining to watch. So yeah, that wraps up our highlight reel for the week.
Let's get into some updates from us.
Yeah, starting with Run Club. We have Run Club this Thursday and every Thursday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time here in Denver at the 99ers Sports Bar. If you listen to our podcast each week, we share a secret word. If you share that secret word with the bartenders after our 3-mile run, you will receive 50% off your first draft. This week, the secret word is wings.
For the Dallas Wings, we love it. We also need to take this time to ask you to please rate and subscribe to our podcast. We love to do this podcast. We want to continue to do it, and we create, produce, and edit the podcast ourselves. So if you want to support us, please rate, subscribe, give us a positive review, and share this podcast with someone you love. We really, really appreciate it, and your rating and your subscription goes such a long way. So even if you've never done it before, we're going to ask you to support a small podcast like us by rating and subscribing. It goes such a long way. Thank you to everyone who has rated the podcast so far. If you send us a screenshot of your 5-star rating, we will send you a Women's Sports Weekly sticker for free in the mail. All right, let's get into our deep dive this week. We are talking Wimbledon finals.
Yes, and what a finals it was. They definitely made this exciting for anyone watching.
This finals was between Carolyn Muchova and Linda Nosková. It was an all Czech Republic final.
Yeah, and I've seen Carolina play before. I saw her beat Coco the other day, so I was like, I guess I'm going with her because she beat Coco, so she might as well just win it all. But unfortunately, that did not happen.
Yes, and there's a little bit of an age gap between the two players, but they did say that they were friends. So Carolyn Muchova is 29 years old. Oh, there's actually not that big of a gap. And then Nosková is 21 years old. So they're closer than I thought in age, but there is a little bit of like the older Czech player and the younger Czech player.
I thought Nosková was older from watching her.
Oh, wow. Okay, nope. A little bit younger.
Wow.
And so that was really cool. At the end of the match, Nosková said, no matter what, we made history, all Czech final. I know that our country is so proud of us, which I think is a really sweet thing to say. And it's true. Nosková staved off a comeback from Muchova, and we'll get into this a little bit, to win in 3 sets. Nosková was so locked in for 1.5 sets.
Which is so crazy because I started watching in the middle of the second set, which would have been the end of the set. I literally came in the door and you were like, great timing, it's match point.
Yep.
And I was like, shoot, I should have came in earlier. I missed some of it. And I think they played for an additional hour at least from that point on because she could not close out this match.
Yes. So Nosková wins the first set 6-2. And you're exactly right. I was like, this is going to be a quick one because Muchova was kind of just like, what am I supposed to do? She's moving so well. She's getting all of these points. She's hitting with such power. And I was like, this match is over. And Nosková had the eye of the tiger eyes. She just looked so locked in. And then about halfway through the second set, something just changed. And then Muchova started gaining some momentum. And she ended up winning the second set. Even though she wasn't playing her best, she kind of just stuck around and made it work.
And I think that's sometimes where age and experience comes to play. So now that I know she's only 21, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Because you could tell she was like match point, just could not close it out and was kind of getting in her head.
That's exactly right. And so she ends up losing the second set 7-5. And you just felt that shift and you were like, oh my gosh, we're just watching this person kind of like deteriorate on the court.
And it's not like she was doing terrible. They had some amazing back and forths. They're volleying and the plays that both of them were making. So it's not like she just fell apart and was giving Mahova the easy plays. They were really battling it out, but she just could not close it out right away.
So she actually had 5 chances in the second set to end it. Nosková had 5 chances, like 5 match points, game over if she won those points. And Mahova sticks around. She takes the second set. As Nosková is coming off the court in the second set, she's putting her hands to her ears to drown out the noise. Really, you could just tell she was having a time. Towel over her head. She actually ends up taking a short break after the second set. And the announcers loved to say this. They were like, she had to walk past the trophies and she just stared at the trophies for a little bit. And after the match, she said, I just looked at the bigger trophy and I was like, I want that one. I'm here. I'm taking that one. I'm going to put everything out there. But the announcers were eating that shit up. They were like, she looked at the trophies and she came back in the third set. And so we go into the third set. She starts off still a little shaky, but then she finds her rhythm again to come out strong in the third and she pulls it together. And during the 6th championship point, she ends the match on an ace and beats Mahova to win her first Grand Slam title at Wimbledon and her first ever time even making it to a Grand Slam final.
That's impressive because we've talked about before, it's really hard to win a championship your first time being there. So to be able to do that is really something.
Yeah, and Mahova has been in one other Grand Slam final before in the French Open. So this is her second one. And it just is like, I feel for her because there's so much preparation has to happen to get to a Grand Slam final. There's also, you need to be healthy during that time. There's also a little bit of stroke of luck of like how the bracket turns out. And so she just must be devastated.
Yeah. Wow.
At the end of the match, though, Mahova, they also make them speak at the end, both the winner and the loser, and pretty much like give a speech, which I think is really difficult to do for any athlete, whether you win or lose. But Mahova looked over at Nosková and was like, we are friends, or we were friends, and made a joke about it. And she said, obviously, I'm kidding, but it is cool that they were able to do that as friends. And Nosková said, there's no one else I would want to play against in a final other than you. This is so great for me to have that be my first final. And she also gave thanks to her parents, and her dad was in the stands and he was so excited, just so much emotion after, so proud of her. And her mom passed away in July of 2024, actually right ahead of Wimbledon in 2024. And she looked up to the sky and like thanked her mom. And of course, I'm just like,
my God.
But congratulations to Linda Nosková, Wimbledon champion, a really fun match to see.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. With that, what are you looking forward to this week, Car?
In the NWSL, Gotham plays the Washington Spirit in the Queens Classic, which is going to be played at Citi Field in Queens, New York on Wednesday, July 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. This is very exciting. So a couple things about this. New York City Mayor Mamdani partnered with Gotham to offer a limited supply of $15 tickets for this game.
Love.
The match is on track to break the attendance record for a women's sporting event in New York City. And the highest women's sports event in New York City is actually held by Coco Gauff when she won her first major title at the US Open at Arthur Ashe Stadium. And Arthur Ashe Stadium is in Queens and directly next to Citi Field, which is pretty cool. And she had 28,143 fans at that match. And I believe that Gotham has already sold over that amount for this game. So they are expecting it to bring it for a women's sports match.
So cool.
This will also give Gotham a taste of playing in New York because it was announced this past week that they will move their home matches from New Jersey to Queens, New York, starting in the 2028 NWSL season.
Wow. Making moves.
They're making moves. So right now they're called New York, New Jersey, Gotham. Do you think they dropped the New Jersey? And as people from New Jersey, we may have some feelings.
I think it's dumb that they're playing in New Jersey right now and they call them New York, New Jersey. That drives me insane. It's like when we're watching the World Cup and the games are in New Jersey, at MetLife Stadium, they say New York-New Jersey. Like wherever you're playing, that should be where it is.
Exactly. I agree. And I know that there are a lot of fans upset that they're moving from New Jersey into New York, and their attendance level is not the highest in the league. And I think that was part of their move. I also think it's a smart move because the Women's World Cup is happening in 2027. We've already seen a surge in women's soccer. We're going to see an additional surge. I can feel it now at the Men's World Cup of like people just being interested more in soccer. And so I do think it is a good move. And I think it's more attractive to players to play and live in New York rather than New Jersey, even though probably New Jersey is a little bit more affordable for the players. I think it just kind of adds a little bit and you're part of that New York City scene a bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
What are you looking forward to this week?
So looking over to the WNBA, the Washington Mystics will take on the Golden State Valkyries this Saturday, July 18th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on League Pass. That is it for this week. We will see you next week on Women's Sports Weekly. In the meantime, watch women's sports and share the podcast with your friends. Rate and subscribe to the pod on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.